MTC. Let's start. 242, Chapter 15 Number. Analysis. Before getting licensed to drive a cab in London, a person has to pass an incredibly difficult test with an intimidating name: the knowledge. The knowledge. The test involves memorizing the layout of more than 20,000 streets in the Greater London area, a feat that involves an incredible amount of memory resources. Greater London too. In fact, fewer than 50% of the people who sign up for taxi driver training pass the test, even after spending 2 or 3 years studying for it. 50%, 2, 3. And as it turns out, the brains of London cabbies are different from non-cab driving humans in ways that reflect their Herculean memory efforts. In fact, the part of the brain that has been most frequently associated with spatial memory, the tail of the seahorse-shaped brain region called the hippocampus, is bigger than average in these taxi drivers. MTC. Good job. MTC. Let's start. 242, Chapter 15 Number. 01. The irony of early democracy in Europe is that it thrived and prospered precisely because European rulers for a very long time were remarkably weak. For more than a millennium after the fall of Rome, European rulers lacked the ability to assess what their people were producing and to levy substantial taxes based on this. The most striking way to illustrate European weakness is to show how little revenue they collected. Europeans would eventually develop strong systems of revenue collection, but it took them an awfully long time to do so. In medieval times, and for part of the early modern era, Chinese emperors and Muslim caliphs were able to extract much more of economic production than any European ruler with the exception of small city-states. MTC. Good job. MTC. Let's start. 242, Chapter 15 Number. 02. Human processes differ from rational processes in their outcome. A process is rational if it always does the right thing based on the current information, given an ideal performance measure. In short, rational processes go by the book and assume that the book is actually correct. Human processes involve instinct, intuition, and other variables that don't necessarily reflect the book and may not even consider the existing data. As an example, the rational way to drive a car is to always follow the laws. However, traffic isn't rational. If you follow the laws precisely, you end up stuck somewhere because other drivers aren't following the laws precisely. To be successful, a self-driving car must therefore act humanly, rather than rationally. MTC. Good job. MTC. Let's start. 242, Chapter 15 Number. 03. Of all the human emotions, none is trickier or more elusive than envy. It is very difficult to actually discern the envy that motivates people's actions. The reason for this elusiveness is simple: we almost never directly express the envy we are feeling. Envy entails the admission to ourselves that we are inferior to another person in something we value. Not only is it painful to admit this inferiority, but it is even worse for others to see that we are feeling this. And so almost as soon as we experience the initial feelings of envy, we are motivated to disguise it to ourselves. It is not envy we feel but unfairness at the distribution of goods or attention, resentment at this unfairness, even anger. MTC. Good job. MTC. Let's start. 242, Chapter 15 Number. 04. Taking a stand is important because you become a beacon for those individuals who are your people, your tribe, and your audience. When you raise your viewpoint up like a flag, people know where to find you. It becomes a rallying point. Displaying your perspective lets prospective and current customers know that you don't just sell your products or services. The best marketing is never just about selling a product or service, but about taking a stand, showing an audience why they should believe in what you're marketing enough to want it at any cost, simply because they agree with what you're doing. Products can be changed or adjusted if they aren't functioning, but rallying points align with the values and meaning behind what you do. MTC. Good job. MTC. Let's start. 242, Chapter 15 Number 05. Inflationary risk refers to uncertainty regarding the future real value of one's investments. Say, for instance, that you hold $100 in a bank account that has no fees and accrues no interest. 100. If left untouched, there will always be $100 in that bank account. 100. If you keep that money in the bank for a year, during which inflation is 100%, you've still got $100. 1100, 100. Only now, if you take it out and put it in your wallet, you'll only be able to purchase half the goods you could have bought a year ago. 1. In other words, if inflation increases faster than the amount of interest you are earning, this will decrease the purchasing power of your investments over time. That's why we differentiate between nominal value and real value. MTC. Good job. MTC. Let's start. 242, Chapter 15 Number 06. Today's digital natives have grown up immersed in digital technologies and possess the technical aptitude to utilize the powers of their devices fully. But although they know which apps to use or which websites to visit, they do not necessarily understand the workings behind the touch screen. People need technological literacy if they are to understand machines' mechanics and uses. In much the same way as factory workers 100 years ago needed to understand the basic structures of engines, we need to understand the elemental principles behind our devices. 100. This empowers us to deploy software and hardware to their fullest utility, maximizing our powers to achieve and create. MTC. Good job. MTC. Let's start. 242, Chapter 15 Number 07. There is a pervasive idea in Western culture that humans are essentially rational, skillfully sorting fact from fiction, and, ultimately, arriving at timeless truths about the world. This line of thinking holds that humans follow the rules of logic, calculate probabilities accurately, and make decisions about the world that are perfectly informed by all available information. Conversely, failures to make effective and well-informed decisions are often attributed to failures of human reasoning resulting, say, from psychological disorders or cognitive biases. In this picture, whether we succeed or fail turns out to be a matter of whether individual humans are rational and intelligent. And so, if we want to achieve better outcomes, truer beliefs, better decisions, we need to focus on improving individual human reasoning. MTC. Good job. MTC. Let's start. 242, Chapter 15 Number 08. An interesting phenomenon that arose from social media is the concept of social proof. It's easier for a person to accept new values or ideas when they see that others have already done so. If the person they see accepting the new idea happens to be a friend, then social proof has even more power by exerting peer pressure as well as relying on the trust that people put in the judgments of their close friends. For example, a video about some issue may be controversial on its own but more credible if it got thousands of likes. If a friend recommends the video to you, in many cases, the credibility of the idea it presents will rise in direct proportion to the trust you place in the friend recommending the video. This is the power of social media and part of the reason why videos or posts can become viral. MTC. Good job. MTC. Let's start. 242, Chapter 15 Number 09. Academics, politicians, marketers, and others have in the past debated whether or not it is ethically correct to market products and services directly to young consumers. This is also a dilemma for psychologists who have questioned whether they ought to help advertisers manipulate children into purchasing more products they have seen advertised. Advertisers have admitted to taking advantage of the fact that it is easy to make children feel that they are losers if they do not own the right products. Clever advertising informs children that they will be viewed by their peers in an unfavorable way if they do not have the products that are advertised, thereby playing on their emotional vulnerabilities. The constant feelings of inadequateness created by advertising have been suggested to contribute to children becoming fixated with instant gratification and beliefs that material possessions are important. MTC. Good job. MTC. Let's start. 242, Chapter 15, Number 10. As far back as the 17th century, hair had a special spiritual significance in Africa. 17. Many African cultures saw the head as the center of control, communication, and identity in the body. Hair was regarded as a source of power that personified the individual and could be used for spiritual purposes or even to cast a spell. Since it rests on the highest point on the body, hair itself was a means to communicate with divine spirits, and it was treated in ways that were thought to bring good luck or protect against evil. According to authors Iona Bird and Laurie Tharps, communication from the gods and spirits was thought to pass through the hair to get to the soul. Iona Byrd Laurie Tharps. In Cameroon, for example, medicine men attached hair to containers that held their healing potions in order to protect the potions and enhance their effectiveness. Cameroon. MTC. Good job. MTC. Let's start. 242, Chapter 15, Number 11. The major oceans are all interconnected, so that their geographical boundaries are less clear than those of the continents. As a result, their biotas show fewer clear differences than those on land. The oceans themselves are continually moving because the water within each ocean basin slowly rotates. These moving waters carry marine organisms from place to place, and also help the dispersal of their young or larvae. Furthermore, the gradients between the environments of different areas of ocean water mass are very gradual and often extend over wide areas that are inhabited by a great variety of organisms of differing ecological tolerances. There are no firm boundaries within the open oceans, although there may be barriers to the movement of organisms. MTC. Good job. MTC. Let's start. 242, Chapter 15, Number 12. Marketing management is concerned not only with finding and increasing demand but also with changing or even reducing it. For example, Uluru, Ayers Rock, might have too many tourists wanting to climb it, and Daintree National Park in North Queensland can become overcrowded in the tourist season. Uluru, Ayers Rock, North Queensland. Daintree. Power companies sometimes have trouble meeting demand during peak usage periods. In these and other cases of excess demand, the needed marketing task, called demarketing, is to reduce demand temporarily or permanently. The aim of demarketing is not to completely destroy demand, but only to reduce or shift it to another time, or even another product. Thus, marketing management seeks to affect the level, timing, and nature of demand in a way that helps the organization achieve its objectives. MTC. Good job.